friends. We are talking to the luxury lady. That would be Jessica de Castro. What's up? How are you doing, Jessica?
I'm doing fantastic. And yourself?
I'm living the dream, man. I'm so glad you're here. We only talked real briefly. I think it's going to be fun, mainly because you're in the world of Christian Dior marketing. And not only I throw that out because I think it's a cool name, but also I think that'll give you some credibility so people understand kind of the world from which you come. And I think our market will be blown away because you're going to be talking in their terms, simple terms, hard to understand terms, marketing terms to everyday entrepreneurs, which would be our client base. So this is going to be a really, really good 30-minute interview. It's going to be a really fun chat.
Amazing.
Amazing. I'm going to remind you, our marketplace, really, we have in our database about 12,000 entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, usually real estate investors. Almost all of them in some way are trying to do marketing. They might be a real estate coach. They also might be a real estate agent. We have a lot of real estate agents. We have a lot of people who are just trying to expand their business. I know you do experiential marketing.
Yep.
And I think a lot more people are starting to go into that because with AI, there's some curveballs that are being thrown at everyone. So now people are wanting kind of a different vibe, a different path to marketing. I think that a lot of your background, it sounds like it will help a lot of the people who are going to be listening and watching this.
Absolutely.
All right, so I threw out Dior the luxury lady, which by the way I coined that. I love that for you. Um, um, tell me a little bit. Tell the audience a little bit about your background, and really, it sounds like it's an interesting one that'll really add value to a lot of our people out there.
Yeah, absolutely. So I spent just over a decade in the world of business development for luxury retail. So I worked for a variety of different brands. One of them is I guess it would be equivalent to like a Saks Fifth Avenue. It's more Canadian. It's called Holt Renfrew, a
Hmm.
luxury a luxury retailer, I guess. And Christian Dior, Aveda, which more in the luxury hair care world. And so that is where I was prior to being an entrepreneur. And I helped them. I found through working in that world that, of course, in luxury, it's really a lot about the experience that you're providing to people. And of course, many other things. But I kind of ran with that and decided that that's
Mm-hmm.
what I wanted to bring to the world through entrepreneurship.
So, and by the way, about 400 or so of our clients are up in Canada, and we have clients all over the country, actually all over the world. But the majority of our clients are in the United States, which, as I mentioned, some clients up in Canada. First, so if we can, let's backtrack a little bit. So,
Yeah.
what got you into marketing in the first place, and then what makes you kind of the voice for maybe some of these people who need some help in marketing, in addition to the background that you've already mentioned?
Absolutely. So, funny enough, I fell into the world I went to school for makeup artistry, which was
Oh, but of course.
totally different.
Yeah.
And I got a job on a cosmetic counter in a luxury retail store.
Mm-hmm.
And I was, just a makeup girl on the counter. And within 3 months, I kind of realized I understood humans and business and consumers more than the people I was working alongside innately. Like I just understood. And
Mm-hmm.
so within the first 3 months, I was managing the counter. And by the time I was 21, I was managing a retail store of over 110 people.
Oh, wow.
And it kind of just skyrocketed from there, which in hindsight, in high school, I was like, I'm not smart. I'm not particularly good at anything. So, when I kind of went into the workforce, I didn't know that that's what was going to be ahead for me. But it felt like something that just came naturally. And, I decided that I realized that the thing that made me really good was that I had a genuine interest in humans. I really wanted
Mm.
to know people and understand people. And so when I was dealing with clients and then, as like my career grew, dealing with the people who are managing the stores and the company on a much larger scale, or companies on a much larger scale, um, that when I made the brands more human centric brands and connecting with people in that level, that's where the magic happened. And
Mm-hmm.
so I was able to kind of see that like this is something that, I can grow with, like marketing, understanding people, and kind of helping brands see the power in those experiences.
Hmm. So I totally get that. I got to assume you like working with smaller business owners versus some of the big brands. I mean, that's my assumption, but I'm going to say that. Is that
100%.
accurate?
100%. Which is funny
Uh,
because the world I came from was with big companies. But I love the idea of bringing this style of marketing, which I'll talk a little bit more about in a bit, I'm assuming,
mhm, mhm.
to the smaller businesses that can really leverage it in a very powerful way.
Yeah, it's funny because there are all these, in my opinion, there's all these marketing gurus who are, who really don't know anything about marketing. By the way, no offense to the marketing gurus out there, they haven't done marketing. They say they've done marketing, but I think you have some credibility because you've worked with, you're the luxury lady. You've worked with luxury brands. If you could really, if you start at the top, big companies, I think that a lot of the stuff you'll be able to impart will help, an entrepreneur who's, a real estate agent who is trying to expand their business. You know what I mean? It totally makes sense to me.
Thank you. Yes. And I see that too, because in the luxury world, the standards are astronomical, right?
Exactly.
Like it's super high. So when I'm looking at the experience that a small business is providing through the lens of what a large business
Mm.
gives and provides, it really gives them an edge and like an insight that is not what you would get from every person. So I do feel like, yeah.
Yeah. So all right. So I'm gonna hold your feet to the fire. Give me three. How about this? I'm gonna throw a little curveball at you. Give me three tips for a small business owner that is unique in the marketplace that a small business owner might not be deploying in their business. That's a tough one.
That is the tough one.
I know. I like being tough on people.
Okay, the first thing I think of is collaborating with companies that are not expected. So, one of
Hmm.
the keys with experiential marketing is engaging businesses in a way that they're not usually used to being engaged in. Or, sorry,
Okay.
engaging the consumer, sorry, in a way that they're not used to from the business. So, when you are, a restaurant and you're collaborating with something that's like outside of your realm, like it wouldn't seem like a linear collaboration like with another linear business. So
Give me an example. I think I like that. I like where you're going with that. What do you mean? I dig that. Give me an example.
oh my gosh, there's so many.
Hmm.
But when so you this is one an example that people have seen so they can make a connection to, like if restaurants hold like paint nights, or they do like fun kind of elements where again you wouldn't necessarily expect to like have those like I guess niche little experiences in a restaurant,
Hmm.
but it attracts like it creates an experience that somebody isn't going to get everywhere, right? So things that are really outside of the box.
Yeah.
And I think that that is something that kind of creates retention, memorability, and there's ways to do it in which it feels like a really cool luxury high-end experience that's not like cheesy or like like it doesn't feel, I don't know, totally outside of the box, right?
Hold on.
um
I dig that. So I cut you off, but before you said something about a restaurant and a paint party. What do you
yeah,
mean by that? I might see where you're going. Remember, I'm not very smart. I need
of
help tying
course,
things together.
no
So what do you mean?
problem.
Because that might be a really good idea. What do you mean by that?
Okay, so if it's a small restaurant, let's just say, and like one night a month, they
Mhm.
host a paint night, and they have somebody come in and facilitate a group of people right before they have like it can be during appetizers,
Hmm.
it can be before food altogether, it can be after food. I would recommend before food, but that's a whole other ballgame.
Hmm.
But they would have a facilitator come in, and they're charging like a higher ticket for that experience, like almost like a flat rate. Normally, there's so many different ways to do it, but they can
Yep.
charge like a flat rate for that experience, that encompasses the food and the paint and everything that you leave with.
Yep.
Um, and they basically leave with a painting that they've painted themselves. They've had this experience, like it could be a fun date night with like, the dinners involved, everything.
Yep.
And it just leaves them with something they're not going to forget. And they'll remember the restaurant, they'll remember the experience, and they have something tangible to leave with, right? So it's
Hmm.
it's just different. It's just there's so many. That's just the first thought that came to my mind. But there's millions of ways to do this.
That's a really good idea, and that's only on tip one. So I'll give it an example. Remember how I said I was not very smart? I'm not very smart, but I used to advise a bunch of financial advisors up in Washington. That's where I live, and some of these financial advisors, I would say, "Hey, you guys, I have a good marketing idea for you. We have a really cool car lot in Bellevue, Washington. Really cool. Like, they have like Lamborghinis, Ferraris, et cetera, et cetera. I would say, hey, go to the owner of this place. If you're a financial advisor, have a client appreciation event there. So all these financial advisors were big, and they hung out with wealthy people, and then they would invite, their top clients there, and some of their top clients might be interested in buying one of the cars. Number one, so the car dealership loved it, right? Two, they wanted people mulling around, and it was a joint venture that made a lot of sense. I didn't even think of that in these terms really, because I thought that was no big deal, but come to think of it, it worked out for a couple of different financial advisors too, specifically because they got a lot of people at those events. And I think that's really what you're saying. Anything to bring in a promotion that's going to help add value, in this case, to both entities, really.
And the reason I'm saying like outside of the box collaborations, not necessarily something you would naturally, connect to each other. Like if you're, a hot sauce brand and then the other brand is like a nacho brand, they
Mm-hmm.
kind of, you can easily make connections. The
Yep.
more like outside of the box it is, the more memorable it is, which means
Yeah.
that people retain, people talk about it. You want people to talk because that's where, your most organic business comes from, right?
Yep.
And so, yeah, I absolutely love it. And that's a perfect example of what I would recommend to a company.
I take full credit for that, but we collaborated on that. I like that. All right, so that's tip number one. Remember, we have probably about 20 minutes. So that's tip number one. Let's go to tip number two. Again, I'm throwing a curveball at you, making it really hard. So give me a second one. I like that first one. So you've passed the test so far, luxury lady. Give me a second one.
Okay. A second one would be guerrilla marketing campaigns.
Explain.
So
I don't know.
for those who don't know what that is, kind of when you show up in places that you're not expected to. So when a brand does like you haven't told anybody you're going to be there, and you just show up. So a good example would be, let's say it's a decor company and they decide to show up at a high traffic convenience store and they collaborate with the convenience store to like deck it out in decor, like literally make it look like
Mm,
a luxury convenience store for the day. And everyone that comes in is like, wow,
that's
like
a good
what
idea.
is happening in this convenience store? Who
Uh,
did this?
yeah,
And they
that's
are
pretty cool.
talking, yeah, so they're talking to the brand, they're talking, the convenience store gets, a fun experience and rep out of it. And yeah, so guerrilla
Yeah,
marketing.
that's a good idea too. So, wow, that's a really good idea. Again, doing something unexpected in that regard. By the way, guerrilla marketing. I think when I was a kid, I remember a company or a dude did that. Is that named after a certain guy who started that guerrilla marketing, or is it a kind of a niche or a generalization of marketing?
Good question. I don't actually know the answer to that. I just know what it's
Yeah.
called.
Anyway, that's a great idea. That's a totally good, because people are going to remember when they go into that store, they're going to remember, wow, it was decked out, and I'm assuming there's going to be a little sign that says whatever, decked out by whatever, by
Yeah.
luxury lady, as an example.
Yeah, preferably like there would be a representative of the company there for the
Yeah.
day, like engaging people, talking to them, making it a true experience.
Yep.
But yeah, it's definitely something you're not going to forget easily.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. All right. So number one, it's been. So wait a minute. We've gone over two. You've done well with these curveballs. You've hit the curveballs really far. So now the third one's going to be hardest, because the third one that's way in the back of your mind. What's a third tip that would help a small business owner, an entrepreneur, let's say a real estate agent or something like that, who has no employees, they're low on a budget, but they want to get their most bang for their buck, and they want to just hit a curveball right out of the ballpark. What's the third
All right.
suggestion or third tip?
So I'm going to talk here about online experiences and how to make them a little bit experiential. So
Hmm.
more immersive online experiences.
Okay.
So when I say immersive online experiences, I'm talking about, okay, you have a website, somebody's happening upon it. how engaging is the website actually? Like, is it just a matter of scrolling through, clicking, everything that you would naturally expect a website to have? A contact us page that functions as expected, a main page that functions as expected. When you have elements in there that are actually meant to engage the person that's happening upon your website or whatever it is. I'm using website for
Mm.
the example. Um, you are able to again kind of have something that's memorable, right? That's always the goal.
Mm-hmm.
And multi-sensory is also something that is really fun. So like when there's like playlists embedded in a website, so there's audio or and it doesn't have to be something that automatically plays because that can be annoying depending on the type of business and the
Mm-hmm.
website and lots of different things. But options where there's like actual, so I've seen people use like, let's say it's an event planning company, right?
Mm-hmm.
On their website, opportunities to like um, use VR to like virtual reality to like basically spin around an event, a decked out room in an event,
Mm-hmm.
that's like embedded into the website, or so many like there's again hundreds of ideas and things that you could do. But you want to think like, how are you engaging multiple senses
Mm-hmm.
through this just visual technically experience, right? On
Mm-hmm.
a in an online experience.
So is that one of the things that you do? Do you design websites? Do you, I don't know, host websites, or what is it that you do in that regard with respect to websites?
Absolutely. So we have a team that I have people which could, make a website more high functioning, essentially, or
Mm-hmm.
more immersive, I should say. And so I do audits, right? So like I
Mm-hmm.
look for the things that are already working really well and what really needs help. I'm always step one, but the team of people are there to kind of bring it to life if and when the client needs or
Mm.
wants.
So I assume you have your own website that people could go to and get information about these three things and many other things, correct?
Absolutely. It's actually, I mean, by the time this airs, it might be launched already, but it's about to launch in the next couple of days
Oh,
because the agency model is just launching. So something we didn't talk about on this call is that I'm making the transition currently from solopreneur to agency. The agency is called Coelho Creative Agency,
what's
and
it? Wait a minute. What's it called? By the way, this is probably going to air down the road. So let's assume, therefore, it's already launching. You're a big stud now. And what's it called again?
Coelho Creative Agency.
How do you spell that?
Coello
Mm-hmm.
Creative Agency. Yes.
Got it. So since it's, let's talk about that a little bit. So you've gone from a solopreneur, it was just you, to now an agency. Now, what does that mean? Does that mean you're going to have a huge team of people? Are they all 1099? Are they employees? What does that mean? Do they engage with you? Meaning these new clients that you're going to get potentially from this? Explain a little bit about this agency.
Absolutely. So I've been onboarding people since January
Mm-hmm.
as I've been going through this transition. So I have a team of a mix of students who are like the best at like in their world right now. So I want to give students, I'm very passionate about giving students opportunities to work in this field so that it's, more out there, and I'm really passionate about mentoring students
Mm-hmm.
in entrepreneurship and experiential marketing. And so I have a team of part students, part like subcontractors who
Mm-hmm.
have their own businesses, who are different experts in different fields that are co-collaborating or collaborating with me to bring this agency to life. And so there is the a bit like option to work with those, um, I guess, agency partners one on one.
Mm-hmm.
But mostly it'll be through me and like kind of like a late, like a, it'll all be all encompassing, right? So
Mm-hmm.
if you start, you do the audit and you choose to move forward with actually implementing these experiential marketing practices to the business, my team will make that happen and come to life. So yeah.
Got it. So, very interesting. And so, what's an engagement look like with you as far as the marketing agency? So, I engage you to do whatever. Let's say I engage you to look at my website. I engage you to do a cool event. What does that look like?
So we would start by looking at what's obviously already there. like, I would do an audit. Basically, when I say do an audit, I'm looking at the experience of what you currently have. So if it's the
Mm,
website, I'm looking at beginning to end. What does the website experience feel like to me as a consumer? Are we hitting the first step is, are we hitting the expectation, the base level expectation? And then how do we embed the unexpected, the stuff that's
mhm,
really going to make it memorable and different and increase retention? Then I will, of course, the things that are working really well, we're going to highlight that you're already doing. And then we're going to work on the strategy on what, like, we think as a team should be embedded to like bring it to the next level.
mm,
So then the experiential marketing campaign would be built out. At that point, you would choose whether it's the event or the website. You would choose, okay, I'm going to take this campaign, this strategy that you've given me, and I have the people, and I'm going to make it happen. Or you can say, Jessica, I want your team to make this happen for me. And then
mhm,
that would be step two. So I do like giving the option because I want to work with all kinds of small businesses that have all kinds of budgets,
mhm.
so that they can really make an impact and see their businesses grow. So that's why I kind of leave it with, you know, a two-way road.
Hmm. I get it. I get it. So then, what's a typical engagement? Meaning, like, do we sign for a month, a year? What's the term of the engagement?
Yeah. So each section that is being audited, so like we just categories, would be anywhere from 1 to 3 months, depending on the
Hmm.
like 1 to 3 month contract, depending on what we're doing, like what we decided we're going to do with it. Then the rest is by like, once the audit is over, like the audit period and the strategy,
Hmm.
then you decide like based on how many things we're changing. It can be, it's by estimate, like, we decide together how long that's going to look like. But if you just end at the audit, then there is the option to do like a subscription almost, like where you
Mm.
get support on a monthly basis, one time per month. So just to kind of keep things like, okay, like you have questions like how, we've come up across this challenge or that challenge and like we want to implement. So you can still have the agency support in your back pocket, but not necessarily like
Mm.
actively doing campaigns until you wish to do another one.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I get it. So at that point, it becomes kind of a subscription or community, et cetera, et cetera.
correct.
Yeah, I get it. I get it. I totally get it. So, all right. So, what's one thing we haven't talked about thus far that can help add value to a small business owner? So far, we've given 3 tips, but what's something else that can add value to an entrepreneur who let's say, most of our entrepreneurs are, they've been around for a while. Let's say someone's been around 15 years as a guest,
Yeah.
um, and they want to take their business to the next level. They're kind of stuck. They're stuck, whatever, for whatever reason. As far as marketing goes, maybe they're doing their own marketing.
Yeah.
What's one little thing that could take them to the one next level so they could become big and steadily, just like the luxury lady, let's say.
Yeah. Have a super tight, clean referral program. Like
Mm.
referral programs are a big miss or are
Yeah.
not executed well. So very, very clean, tight referral program is what I would recommend as a
Yeah.
singular thing.
Systems. So that's how we've made our business. We don't really do any marketing. We just started April 15th doing marketing. But I mean, I think that's huge. And everything was based on referrals. I mean, literally 93 or 94% of our business comes based on referrals. And we systematized it. We've kind of gotten away from that a little bit, but if you systematize referrals, you ask for referrals, and then you follow up on the referrals, you're that much better off going forward. There's no better quote marketing than referrals. If a client's telling another prospect, if you will, that, hey, these guys do good, they've helped me to, in our case, lower taxes, help investments, it totally does. It's the best form of marketing, cheapest form of marketing. It makes for a sticky client, et cetera, et cetera. It's the only way to go. So that's impressive that you've mentioned that. You know what I mean?
100%. In fact, up until now, my business has been 100% referral
Yeah.
based. 100%. I had no online presence. Only now with the agency are we
Mm.
marketing online. And so it has been like, I could not talk more about referrals and how well that can work for a business if done properly.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. That's impressive. So then, what's one thing? I got you. And those are now 4 things we've talked about. So what would you say? Oh, by the way, how does someone get a hold of you if they're interested in learning about you a little bit more?
Absolutely. So if you want to talk to me directly, email's the best, Jessica at jessicadecastro.com. For the agency, it'll be coelloexp.com. So coelloexp.com. Coello Experience is what it stands for. Yeah, those are probably it. We have an Instagram, type in Coello, got it.
And what, by the way, what was the email address? You threw that out kind of fast. What was that?
Okay, Jessica at Jessica de Castro, first name, last name.com.
Perfect. Perfect. All right. So what's one little thing? So you mentioned audit. What's I guess a little, you know, how sometimes people give away a 15-minute consultation or 5-minute consultation or maybe a free book. Do you have anything like that that can help add value to an entrepreneur that we've talked about?
Yes. So I mean, what I do is 30-minute discovery calls,
Mm.
always free. So I love meeting people. I love talking to people. I love knowing about your business. Literally nothing makes me more happy than my discovery calls. So if you want to talk to me, ask me questions, I am so happy to do that and to book. Yeah, just book a discovery call and we could do like a little short strategy session right on the spot.
Awesome. I think it sounds you've come out with 4 really good ideas. So I think right off the bat, people can you know, do a walk away from this, and then hopefully, who knows, go to their keyboard, email you, check you out on the website, because I think it makes a lot of sense based on what we've said today. Because I can consider myself pretty hard on guests, or we call them partners, and I've thrown some hard things at you, and you've as I mentioned, you've hit the ball out of the park. It's those are some good ideas. I really would agree with some of the thoughts you have. I totally appreciate you being here.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure. And I also was like, oh my gosh, 3 tips. What are we going to talk about? But got them. We're good.
You did well. You did well, luxury lady. And I want you to go by that for the rest of your life and say,
Okay.
hey, it's all because of Kenner. Yeah.
I'm running with it.
Once again, hey, you guys, this has been Kenner French, luckily hanging out with Jessica de Castro, you know, the luxury lady, here with a vast voice, telling business secrets to entrepreneurs. It's been a fun time. Thank you. We know you could be spending a lot of time doing a lot of other things, so we appreciate you guys for spending the time here. And if we've added some value, if you have any questions, whatever the case is, go ahead and email us at info@vastsolutionsgroup.com, or just go to the website and check it out. There's some tools and resources out there that can help add value to you, the entrepreneur. Once again, this is Kenneth French, Vast Voice, telling business secrets to entrepreneurs. Jessica, thanks again.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Nice. Nice.